Hello everyone, this is Grace. It is July the 8th, 2023, and we are continuing our study on the year of Jubilee. And we had determined in our previous study that the year of Jubilee is actually every 7th year. That is also the year of release and not every 50th year. So we left off at Exodus on the laws about slaves. So let's go ahead and get started and look at this. And as I mentioned, it has other deceptions in here that I'm going to just go ahead and address while we have this up. So now these are the judgments which thou shalt set before them. If thou buy an Hebrew servant 6 years, he shall serve, and in the 7th he shall go out free for nothing. Okay, that's been established. We're actually going to see another scripture that repeats this. It's for Hebrew servants only. If he came in by himself, he should go out by himself. If he were married, then his wife shall go out with him. If he came in with a wife, his wife goes out with him. If his master has given him a wife, and she has borne him sons or daughters, the wife and her children shall be her master's, and he shall go out by himself. This is not a Hebrew woman. Now, I'm not sure if that was a given or if they took it out, but this is not a Hebrew woman. The woman gets freedom just as the man gets freedom. And it's going to say a Hebrew or a Hebrewess. Actually, let's go take a look at that. I don't know if it's next. Here we go. And if thy brother, an Hebrew man or an Hebrew woman, be sold unto thee, and serve thee 6 years, then in the 7th year thou shalt let him go free from thee. So it doesn't matter. So it doesn't, you don't get to keep your wife. You don't get to keep a wife. You don't get to just keep a woman like that. This is a heathen woman that is kept. And it's going to continue to speak about the woman. It is not talking about a Hebrew woman. Listen, I just need for you to just think about this for a moment. This might be a little bit harder for the men than it is for the women. The bride of Christ is considered to be a woman, the church. Jesus is not going to leave his woman in slavery while he goes out with his freedom, living it up. He's just not going to do that. The Hebrew woman is the bride of Christ. So I'm not sure if it was supposed to have been assumed. I'm not sure if they were trying to deceive us and they took it out. But this is not a Hebrew woman. It is a heathen woman. If the master gave him a wife, a heathen wife, and she has borne him sons or daughters, heathen sons, raised by a heathen mother. That means the children are heathen too. Okay? They're going to be raised under the dictates of a God other than the one true God, the God of Israel. The wife and her children shall be her masters, and he shall go out by himself. Because he's the only Hebrew. And if the servant shall plainly say, I love thy master. This is kind of disgusting to me. I'm going to try and hide it, but I just think it's disgusting. And if the servant shall plainly say, I love my master, my wife, and my children, and I will not go out free. Look, listen, of course a man is going to say he loves his wife and his children. Men cling to their wives. They do. If it's a Hebrew wife, it's a legitimate wife recognized in the eyes of God. How are you just going to walk away from your wife? No, some people die over less. People have killed people over less than leaving his wife, his family, and his children there. They're all heathen. It's not a legitimate marriage in the eyes of God. He can't just walk away from a Hebrew woman. You can't do that. That goes against the dictates of the family as prescribed by God himself. Then his master shall bring him unto the judges, and he shall also bring him to the door. Oh, I got off the topic there with this whole leave your wife and your child thing. If a servant shall plainly say, I love my master, my wife, and my children, I will not go out free. The reason why this bothers me so much, one moment. Okay. The reason why this bothers me so much is because we are said to be enslaved. We're said to be enslaved to sin, putting us under the dictates of unlawfulness, Satan, etc., etc. Jesus came to free us. We are under him as free men. He wants to serve us. So when you look at this illustration, this person who says, no, I don't want to go free, I want to be a slave forever. No, see, that's a problem, because you're not a slave under Jesus. You're a free man under Jesus. He serves you. That's the picture that's given. So this has to be a deception that's put in here. It has to be. It's illogical. No, it's just weird. It's just weird. No man, no real man is going to do this. A servant shall plainly say, I love my master, my wife, and my children, I will not go free. Then his master shall bring him to the judges. Who are the judges? This word is God. This is the word for God. They had to change it to judges because they saw how illogical it was. Remember back in Leviticus, if you were a member then, in Leviticus they kept saying, take him before God. Take him before God. What does that mean? God is everywhere. What are you talking about, bringing him before God? Here, this is just another way of saying bringing him before God. Then his master, his owner, is going to bring him unto God. In the beginning, there was God. H430. That's what the word is. In the beginning, there was God. Take him unto the judges. God. He shall also bring him to the door. What door? This is so weird. This whole verse right here is just weird. It's just weird. It's weird because they have this, he shall also. They put this in. If you're going to take him before God, okay, just think about it for a second. Let me read it to you, and then I want you to think about what it says. Then his master shall bring him unto the judges. This verse right here is what did it for me, made me realize this whole thing was just made up. Then his master shall bring him unto the judges. He shall also bring him to the door, or unto the doorpost, and his master shall bore his ear through with an awl, and he shall serve him forever. Okay, so his master is going to bring him to God. This is a Hebrew man. How do you do that? How do you take a man to God? Before you answer that, and also take him to the door, or for good measure unto the doorpost. Because if you're taking him to the door, you're taking him to the doorpost. But many words, much confusion, right? If you're taking him unto God, and you also want to take him to the doorpost, are these not the same thing? If you say, well, God is at my house, I'm going to take him to my house. Okay, well, then take him away from your house, and then take him back to God and take him to the doorpost. Where did you go away from God? No, you just went away from the doorpost. The thing is that when you say take him to God, people automatically think take him to the temple. But then they added on an and, take him to the doorpost. So you exclude out the temple when you say that. Because, okay, now I've gotten myself confused. You can't take him to God and take him to the doorpost. You can take him to the temple, which is taking him to the doorpost. This is not two things, is what I'm trying to say. This is one thing. Because God is everywhere. So when they say take him unto God, you automatically think the temple. Take him unto the door, or unto the doorpost. door. This whole thing is just one great big mess. It's just all confusion. It's just weird. It's very weird. They didn't need this "and" in here. Shall also bring him to the door or to the doorpost. And his master shall bore his ear through with an awl. An awl, in case you are not aware, in the toolbox, if you have a toolbox of child, or your husband, or the man of the house, or if you're one of those enterprising women that does that type of thing. The awl is the little thing that's just a point that has just a point at the end that just pokes holes in things. So now you have to take him at some mysterious doorpost. Hope that God is there. He will be if they're Hebrew, hopefully. And you're going to find an awl, which I hope every Hebrew man had an awl back then, but you never know. But you got to do it with an awl, because it specifically says an awl. And you bore his ear through with an awl. And another place is going to say you bore it through, and I think attach it to the door. It's just a satanic ritual, people. That's all it is. Here's the deal. I'm sorry. I shouldn't be talking like that. That's okay. Anyway, here's the way it works. You cannot. Let's see. How do I put this? Okay, let me put it like this. All of these different heathen religions and stuff like that, all of these heathen things, they have certain aspects to them that identify them, okay? So the reason why I say this is satanic is because of the mind games, right? No one can make you be a slave. They just can't do it. That's why they say chattel slavery was so bad, because they would put you in chains and make you stay. They made you stay, at least in the beginning. Then it became you just stayed. Or if you ran and you got caught, then of course it could be brutal. Or this is all what they tell us, okay? I don't trust history, so I'm saying this is what they tell us. So the mind games here is why I say it's satanic. If the man wanted to stay, he could have just stayed there and worked. But they have to go through all these rituals, which they love. They love rituals because it shapes your mind into some sort of obligation to them, which you're really not obligated to do. So you go through all the trouble, you pierce your ear through to the door, now you serve him forever. No, you can walk away the moment they unpin you from that door. You can say, look, I changed my mind, I'm not going to do it. But you promised. You went through a ritual. No, nope, no. No, it's just mind games. That's all it is. It's a mind game to put you into perpetual slavery, which no man is supposed to be under. We're supposed to be free men as Hebrews. You don't get the option to be a slave. If you want to be in sin, you die. You can't live forever in sin. You cannot be a slave to sin. You just can't be. God can't have it. It hurts people. It hurts you, but it hurts other people too. And we want to be happy. And if a man sell his daughter to be a maidservant, she shall not go out as the manservants do. Now, you can tell that this is a slave by the next verse. I'm going to read this again, and then I'm going to read it. I'm just going to go right into the next verse. And if a man sell his daughter to be a maidservant, she shall not go out as men servants do. If she please not her master, who has betrothed her to himself, then shall he let her be redeemed. To sell her unto a strange nation, he shall have no power, seeing he has dealt deceitfully with her. So if a heathen man sells his daughter to be a maidservant. He cannot just use that woman. No, he's not allowed to do that. She has to stay. She stays as his wife. That's it. He cannot have a maidservant who acts as a wife and then just let her go and then sell her back to a heathen nation or do whatever he wants to do with her. No. If she please not her master who has betrothed her, then he shall let her be redeemed, to sell her unto a strange nation. How are you going to sell a heathen woman to a strange nation? How are you going to sell a Hebrew woman who belongs to the nation of Israel? You're going to cast her out and sell her to a strange nation. It's unimaginable. It's not unheard of, but it certainly is unimaginable. You're going to take the woman's religion because she was a slave and sell her out to a bunch of heathens. Absolutely not. This is a heathen woman who is being sold to a strange nation because she does not keep the religion of the God of Israel. To sell her unto a strange nation, he shall have no power, seeing he has dealt deceitfully with her. You cannot use and abuse even the heathen women in such a manner. You're not allowed to do that. If you marry her, she's treated as a wife. And you're only allowed to marry her after she's adopted the religion. You can't just take it from her. And if he has betrothed her unto his son, he shall deal with her after the manner of daughters. If he take him another wife, her food, her raiment, and her duty of marriage, shall he not diminish. And if he do not these three unto her, hold on, let me read this again. If he take him another wife, her food, her raiment, and her duty of marriage, shall he not diminish. If he take him another. Back in the day, the men of Israel did not understand that all of these wives were considered adultery. Back in the day, they felt like adultery was the physical act of sleeping with another person outside your marriage. So they could pick out them 2-3 wives, and they felt perfectly content to do so. And this is why Solomon did this. But no, lusting after another woman is adultery. It is. And it would have been considered adultery in this case as well. But their understanding was not as clear as our understanding as it is today. So they had multiple wives. And if he do not these three unto her, then she shall go out free without money. Without him receiving money. Because when the woman leaves, when a Hebrew woman leaves, wealth is given to her. She doesn't have to start over. Anyway, no, this is just a satanic thing they put in the Bible in order to brainwash you into some obligation. These rituals they put in here, there's so many rituals. It's this brainwashing thing that they use over you to try and have you adhere to your word, of course, and we want to do that automatically. We want to live by our word. But when it comes to your soul, you have to draw a line. You just have to draw a line. At the end of every 7 years, thou shalt make a release. Again, it was just added in. It said, every 7 years, thou shalt make a release. This end of was just added at the beginning of the sentence. These two words here is the part that says is the part that adds in at the end of. But originally, they weren't there. It just says, the sabbatical year, every 7 years, thou shalt make a release. And this is the manner of the release. Every creditor that lendeth aught unto his neighbor shall release it. He shall not exact of his neighbor or of his brother, because it is called the Lord's release. Or if a foreigner or a foreigner, of a foreigner, thou mayest exact it again. But that which is thine with thy brother, thy hand, that is, okay, of a foreigner thou mayest exact it again. But that which is thine with thy brother, thine hand shall release. Save when there shall be no poor among you, for the Lord will greatly bless thee in the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee for an inheritance, to possess it. Only if thou carefully hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe to do all these commandments which I command thee this day. For the Lord thy God blesseth thee, as he promised, as he promised thee. And thou shalt lend unto many nations, but thou shalt not borrow. And thou shalt reign over many nations, but they shall not reign over thee. If there be any among you, a poor man, or one of thy brethren, within any of thy gates in the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee, thou shalt not harden thine heart, nor shut thine hand from thy poor brother, but thou shalt open thine hand wide unto him, and shalt surely lend him sufficient for his need in that which he wanteth. Beware that there be not a thought in thy wicked heart, saying, the 7th year, the year of release, is at hand, and thine eye be evil against thy poor brother, and thou givest him not, and he cry unto the Lord against thee, and it be sin unto thee. Thou shalt surely give him, and thine heart shall not be grieved when thou givest unto him, because that for this thing the Lord thy God shall bless thee in all thy works, and in all that thou puttest thine hand unto. For the poor shall never cease out of the land. Therefore I command thee, saying, thou shalt open thine hand wide unto thy brother, to thy poor and to thy needy in the land. And if thy brother, an Hebrew man or an Hebrew woman, be sold unto thee, and serve thee 6 years, then in the 7th year thou shalt let him go free. Thou shalt let him go free from thee. And when thou sendest him out free from thee, thou shalt not let him go away empty. Thou shalt furnish him liberally out of the flock, and out of thy floor, and out of thy winepress, of that wherewith the Lord thy God hath blessed thee, and shalt give unto him. And thou shalt remember that thou wast a bondman in the land of Egypt. The Lord thy God redeemed thee. Therefore I command thee this thing today. And it shall be, if they say unto thee, I will not go away from thee, because he loveth thee and thine house. Now it just told you that God has redeemed you from slavery. And it shall be, if they say unto thee, I will not go away from thee, because he loveth thee and thine house, because he is well with thee, then thou shalt take an awl and thrust it through his ear unto the door, and he shall be thy servant forever. And also unto thy maidservant shalt thou do likewise. Lies. You cannot make this into serving God forever. If the Lord redeems you, you're his. If you sell yourself into slavery, you're not his. But I understand if you see a preacher that does it, we just have to work with where we are, because we're going to have all of the knowledge in the end. We have that promise. We're gonna understand. We're not all of the knowledge. We're never gonna understand everything that's in the Bible. Okay, Sister White tells us we're gonna be studying the Bible forever. Okay, but we're gonna be able to understand this, and we're gonna know the true message that was given. You can't change this to Jesus. You cannot say you're serving Jesus by nailing your ear to a wall. It doesn't. First of all, it doesn't make any sense. All these rituals is strange. Secondly, it tells you in the verse right above that God redeems you. That's what the Jubilee is about. It's about setting you free from bondage, giving you a chance. You get wealth. You get a new start. And Jesus is not here to put you in bondage. Jesus is here to set you free and to serve you. You don't serve Jesus. What are you going to do for Jesus? How are you going to be a slave for Jesus? No, your service to him is to take his word out and give it to others so that others can be free too. That's how you can serve Jesus. Not by being a slave. Not by having your ear nailed to a wall with an awl. Where are you going to find an awl? I don't. This is just a little bit offensive. Sell yourself into slavery. It's the same as selling yourself into sin. To keep yourself in bondage. Do I have more? 2 more scriptures. Let's go through them. See if we can get through them quickly. And if thy brother an Hebrew man or an Hebrew woman be sold unto thee and serve thee 6 years, then in the 7th year thou shalt let him go free. Okay, we just read that. So 1 more scripture. That every man shall let his manservant and every man his maidservant, being in Hebrew or in Hebrewess, go free. And that is everything. Yep, that's it. Jubilee is made up. I'm sorry. I believed it was real as well. But it's not real. There's no illustrations for it. There's no pictures of it. There's no mention of it throughout the entire Bible. But what they do mention is the 7-year Jubilee. And it's mentioned over and over again. We just looked at many scriptures. It's every 7 years. This 50-year thing is just not real. Okay. I will leave it at that. And I will talk with you in the next video.